folks. Looks like Jake is going to join me for a contest entry. This is for David Newton's Hot for Teacher contest. David Newton is just hit 100 subscribers. Great channel. I discovered him back when Beth at B-Side Records was doing a Halloween in July contest. And I saw his entry and thought it was brilliant. So I checked out some more of his videos. Come to find out, he is a Kentuckian like I am. He's in a different part of the state, but it's always good to see somebody from Kentucky in the VC. So let me, and while we're talking about Kentucky, let me address my hat. Because one thing, other than records and the Cats, it's obvious that I have a love for baseball hats. So, Cardinals, probably not seen one. I've not had a good Cardinals hat for a while. Wow, Jake, where did you drop out of? Buddy. I guess he really needed his camera time. Anyway, I grew up in Danville, so, I'm a lifelong Wildcat fan. They are my number one team. But I have lived in Louisville now since 1994. So what is that? That's 25 years. And I literally could walk and be at U of L's campus in probably about 10 minutes, and I could probably walk to the stadium in about 20-25 minutes. I mean, I'm that close. And so I root for the Cardinals too. Now that's taboo in this state. Usually most people love one and hate the other. That's not me. So we're getting ready to start some college football. I'll be rooting for both teams. Wildcat, go Wildcats, go Cardinals. Now, when they do play, it's Wildcat time, but I'll be pulling from both. Try to watch both of them whenever I can. That's not what this video is about. It's about Hot for Teacher. Isn't that right, Jake? Anyway, so he's asked 5 questions. I've got my selections, and we're ready to get into this. I'll put a link to David's channel in the description. If you're in the VC, subscribe. If you're into horror movies, he really knows his stuff there. Subscribe to him for that as well. So anyway, let's get into these questions. First one up, Jake. Can you sit down, because I gotta look at the. Thank you, buddy. 1 to 5 albums that were your favorites during your high school years. Well, the first one that comes to mind, Eagles, The Long Run. This came out in 79. Great songs on it. Heartache Tonight. Let's see. Sorry. Blank. Quit licking the plastic, you plastic licking cat. What's the matter with you? All right. The Long Run. I Can't Tell You Why. Heartache Tonight. Man, there are some great songs on this album. Finally found one in fairly decent condition. Wore this out during those years. Eagles, The Long Run, number 1. Number 2, Genesis, Abacab. Just picking up this album, I immediately think about hopping into Todd Sheen's car. He almost always had this, getting ready to play, crank up. He had a great stereo in his car. And of course, Abacab leads off on this album and has such an iconic. This is such an iconic beginning to an album. Um, yeah, love this, and this definitely takes me back. It was a favorite during my high school years. Next up, I can't mention high school without mentioning Daryl Hall, John Oates. Got some H2O. This was huge when we were in high school. Watched a lot of. Does anybody remember Night Tracks on WTBS? Watched a lot of Night Tracks. And of course, they were staples on that show. Love this album. Next up, the king of the 1980s, at least the early 1980s, Rick Springfield, Souls. Man, the dude. Well, I guess Aretha isn't a Wildcat fan. Was this hat in your way? All right. So Souls, great. Like I said, he had great songs. Um, wow, cats. Anyway, what was I saying about Rick Springfield and this album? I mean, how many great songs are on this? Human Touch, Allison, Affair of the Heart, Living in Oz, Souls. Just tremendous album. And of course, now this will come out of left field, but for me it was huge. It was an album that really changed my view on Christian music, and it was the debut by Russ Taff. Of course, my favorite artist of all time, greatest singer to ever walk the planet. Won a Grammy for this album. This was his first album. He had been with the Imperials, then went solo. This is his debut. Man, that's a sharp-dressed man, isn't it? Classic album. Just classic. Great musicians on this. There's that gold myrrh label. This actually, when I started singing in church, this was the guy I wanted to be like. I listened to a lot of, I've wore this album out many times as far as cassettes and stuff. Now we sit behind this big old desk and he's talking on the phone. Spinning wheels and making deals, just see how far he's gone. He says he hasn't really changed at all for the sake of the dream. Just doing what he has to do, the end justifies the means. 'Cause we push comes to shove. You better look out for number one. Have you really taken an inside look? Are you hearing what your actions say? Have you really taken an inside look? Do you think that God would do it that way? Oh Lord, don't let us waste our lives trying to build self-serving dreams. And Lord, don't let us fool ourselves, hiding what we really mean. Lord, help us see integrity. All right, so that's my five. My five for that were favorites during my high school years. All right, so share an album by your favorite band or artist that you feel deserves an A plus. As a Russ Taff fan, now granted, when it comes to Russ, I'm hardly objective. And why are you looking at me like that, Jake? I wish you all could see the look on his face. I'm telling you, yeah, I realize, yes, I go on about Russ all the time. This is my favorite Russ album. He has many A plus albums. This is my favorite. I think it's because he covered This Is Under Their Influence. He did it to kind of as an album to show the music that he grew up with. And he had an absolutely amazing band. James Hollihan was his guitarist, and they just crafted an incredible album. His vocals, in fact, I don't know if there's a greater track I've ever heard than to listen to him sing "Ain't No Grave." Man, that will, if that doesn't, what did they say in church? If that doesn't light your fire, your wood must be wet.
Jordan, what do you think I see? I saw a band of holy angels, and they're coming after me. I cried, meet me, Jesus. Meet me in the middle of the air. I'm gonna rise to meet my Lord, and I'm gonna say goodbye down in hell. There ain't no grave, no. I'm gonna hold this body down. There ain't no hold this body down. When I hear the trumpet sound, open up out of the ground, 'cause there ain't no grave, no grave. Gotta hold this body down. I'm gonna rise to meet my Lord, and I'm gonna say goodbye down in hell. There ain't no grave, no. I'm gonna hold this body down.
Yeah, so this would be my A plus album. Now here's where we get into controversy, because it was like favorite band or artist that show an album that didn't quite make the grade. Now, one thing I'll say about Russ and that I appreciate as a fan is that his level of consistency over the years has been absolutely, what's a good word for it? Unparalleled, maybe? He is absolutely putting out consistently great albums. I don't know that they're, at the time, if I look back at the time of release, I don't know if he's ever had an album I ever listened to and thought, oh wow, that wasn't, no. Every time I get one, I wear it out. They were probably all grade at A at the time. So then I look back and thought, well, if they were to come out now, what would it make the grade? And I could have went with a couple. If you're looking, I mean, some people might think I would show this, Winds of Change. It was his country album. Toured with Joe Diffie on this. But man, there are great songs on this. And it still listens probably as good today as it did when it came out, I think. Or do I take points off of this album, which is now more than ever, his 2007 release? Because there were songs that he re-recorded on this, and of course he's done that since he's been with the Gaithers. Somebody's Coming was on a previous album. Heartbreak Ridge and New Hope Road he originally did with the Gaither Vocal Band. But this has still got some absolutely killer songs on it. And sometimes the production, especially when he reaches back into the older songs of his catalog, Imperial's Days, those, when he redoes those, it's great because the production's so much better than it was back in the 70s. But as far as solo work, now this is where it gets really controversial. Medals. If I post this to the Russ Taff page and some of the Russ Taff fans see me hold up this album and say it didn't quite make the grade, they will lose their minds. And with good reason. It is a great album. I loved it when it came out. I would have graded it an A+ if I was grading it the first week that it came out. But I was talking with a buddy of mine. I was talking with Dave last time when we were in Bell Buckle. I think we were in Bell Buckle at the time. Or maybe it was another occasion when we were out shopping for records or something. But we both agreed that of all of his, even of the two older albums, which would have been Walls of Glass and this one probably, out of his entire catalog, suffers the most from the production. Not that it was a bad album when it came out, but it came out in 85. And today it still sounds like 1985. And it's so synthesizer heavy that it might be the hardest listen of all of his older material, simply because it sounds like the year that it came out of, very much so, whereas so many of his other albums are timeless. So now, having said that, this might have been his most successful album. He was at the peak of his career. At the time it came out, it was right after Amy Grant's Unguarded. And there's a back cover. Wow. That's some picture. Anyway, so yeah, and I saw him on this tour. I got to see him, Shane Cummings and I, when I saw him. I was living in Danville at the time. We came up here to Louisville, not far from where I live now. And we saw him at the Louisville Gardens and got there. It was a general admission. We were there so early, we got front row center. It was amazing. I was introduced to Phil Keaggy that night, who opened for him. Just an amazing night. There's a lot of great songs on there, from Not Gonna Bow and Medals and I'm Not Alone. But it is the production that's the problem there. So, anyway, let's move on to this next question. Share an album that was released the year you graduated from high school. I got a few I'm going to show. Of course, one of the big ones, Born in the USA. Bruce Springsteen. What do I need to say about this album? It's iconic. Everybody knows it. Another lesser known, but one that I enjoyed a great deal, Steve Perry, Street Talk, with O. Sherry. I believe this was his debut after he left Journey. And then, of course, what is this contest? It's Hot for Teacher. And what else came out in 1984? Van Halen, 1984, with Hot for Teacher. This is, I don't have that one on vinyl. Would love to have it on vinyl. This also has my favorite, one of my favorite Van Halen songs, Panama, which I saw Stryper do a cover of back a couple months ago, and they killed it. But yeah, Van Halen 1984. Now for the bonus. All right, so this challenge is inspired by my wife, who is a teacher, and tell her thank you for taking up that profession. It's can often be a thankless one, and we don't appreciate our teachers like we should. And that being said, share a song, title, or album that makes mention of school, locker room, boys' room, principal, teacher, class, bus stop, etc. All right, so here's mine. Here's my bonus. It is going back to what I do best, contemporary Christian music. This is John Gibson. Love Education.
Listen to me well. Where are we going to? Only time will tell. Don't you worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow may not come. So come here, take my hand, let us pray this prayer as one. Someday you will be with me. In paradise, someday you will be with me. In paradise, someday you will be with me. In paradise, someday you will be with me. In paradise. Oh, oh. Woo.
And there he is, looking like a professor or a student, college student with a book, looking out the window. It's funny. John's more of an R&B type artist. There he is. I really like the back cover of this one, believe it or not, because I thought it was pretty clever. They have a stack of books here with the song titles on each of the spines. This is a 1994 recording. And of course, the title track is Love Education. And that is my bonus. So, David, great contest. I'm going to hurry up and get off here. Try to get this edited and uploaded. The deadline's tonight. So, thank you for having it. Good luck to you, and congrats on the subs. You deserve them. Hope to see you get a whole bunch more by the time this. I think I checked this morning, and he's over 140. So, anyway, hope everyone's doing well. We will see you soon.